we would get, you know, I have, time to get everything figured out by 7. Are you tired? You have so much energy. I just need your energy. That's what I need. Don't ever take allergy pills from DR, okay? Yeah. Oh, it's recording. It was not that I went live. Yeah, for all this purpose. I'm waiting for the edit to work so I can put my phone on my tripod. You know, she keeps saying it wasn't her, but I'm like, it was perfectly fine before we used it. Looks like you might have just shut down again. How do we turn this on? Here. Okay. You want to go? There you go. Just watch it.
Cultivating collective consciousness.
All of them. So I'm going to hit this, and I'm going to mute this. That's super nice with your oil, like a little drop to clean my eyes, and I was like, wait, those are for vision. Oh, okay. I mean, you can use it, but I have like actual wipes in the bathroom drawer right there. Drawer? Yeah. Okay. Hey. I am here on this live, and I'm going to be joined. Well, I am joined, but soon in this chair next to me. For your ability to view, I will be joined in this frame with my girl, Indiana Susaña. Once again, my only guest so far. um, I've actually decided that I'm not going to be doing this second Sundays at 7 thing anymore. That box, I'm not really a box person, so I don't know why I thought that this box would work for me, but that box does not actually work for me. Um, because, I be moving around and other people be moving around too. And so sometimes, like, cool people that I meet, we can't get together on the second Sunday at 7. Maybe, so I'm just going to do lives with cool people or however I do them when the time is right, when I'm called, when I meet cool folks that I want to sit down with or I'm with them. When I was in Thailand, there were quite a number of people that that I really would have liked to have connected with and shared, brought onto the show to like let other folks see. Um, and then, I didn't because we couldn't get together at that very exact time, that second Sunday at 7, which was 6 a.m. there. And so, yeah, I just realized that that's just silly and I'm not going to do that anymore. So I'm going to be breaking the boxes. I'm trying to figure out this thing, as I have said many times. I had thought about doing this sort of a thing many times and didn't want to take on the lift of it. And Spirit was like, "You got to do this." So I'm committed to figuring it out. But I'm gonna be growing, learning, changing, transforming how I do that. Um, Also, like I had like a whole kind of show approach that I was taking. This part is for this, and then this part of the show we talk about this, and then this part of the show we talk about this, which is cool, and it can be helpful to have like a framework. At the same time, I feel like it doesn't make as much create as much opportunity for the collaboration, and I really like collaborating.
Yeah.
So I rather like we did, sit with the person and be like, what should we talk about, right? Which is still like that framework made room for that, but we can just be more free because that's what we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
and sometimes not even having to plan a conversation. It just happened to be we were having a great conversation last time, and I was like, we should do a live on this.
Yeah. And so right now I'm in Dominican Republic again. And so I really was excited to have an opportunity to have another like conversation like this with Indiana while I'm here. I'm leaving tomorrow, so we like let's do this. Let's make this happen. And would it work well to like make it short and put it on the table, or no? You like it like it is?
Yeah, I think that may work as well. I just wanted to be so that it's facing
Us both.
And not looking like I'm looking down or sideways or something.
But it's like only on me right now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just leave it.
Okay. That looks good.
There we go.
Because you can sit close to me, right?
Yep. Okay.
We getting on Indiana's live together too, so yeah. Yay.
There we go.
All right. So yeah, so we were saying like, we were having a conversation earlier. So even though I've only been here for 8 days, and I spent a good amount of those days with Indiana. So we've had a few experiences together, and it's kind of been like a bit of a roller coaster.
It has been.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, and so the subject I put we're offering as the subject for our live right now. A few things came up in these roller coaster of time, and so like when I got here on Tuesday of last week, and was it Wednesday that we were chasing down.
Immigration, yes.
Yeah. So, would you mind telling the story about like how we got to that moment from you going into that store and all of that?
So I mean, I stopped at a store before my way home, and on the way out, I recognized that there was a lot of attention going in one direction, and when I just happened to get in my car and drive, I realized that there was a woman who was unconscious, and they were putting onto a motorcycle, and meanwhile, there was just a lot of people standing around recording and pointing the finger and everything else, but not really doing much about it. And I just felt called to inviting the family to putting the woman into my car so that I can drive her to the hospital. And of course, the hospital is like a 15-minute drive, so I'm driving like a maniac down the road to get her there because she's in my car. It took a couple of men to get her in there, and then her two sons, and the sister of some sort. And of course, I got her to the hospital. The doctors took her in and whatnot, but I had to go. I ended up having to go home, and I gave them my number and asked if they can call me just with any update or if they needed anything. And I got a call a few hours later where the family was pretty much just letting me know that there was nothing that the doctors can do for them there because if they called the ambulance, immigration was going to be taking them with them, being deported.
And you said they didn't have imaging, so they didn't have imaging equipment at that hospital.
They didn't have imaging equipment at that hospital, and so they needed to send her to another hospital, which required transfer through the ambulance. However, had the ambulance came and picked them up, then they were going to have to report it to deportation for immigration.
These families
are from Haiti. They're from Haiti, and they don't have their documentations, right? Correct. And so I drove back to the hospital so that I can be able to help them find a solution. But by the time I got there, they had already taken their mother into another car and just driven to a recommended space that was like a private clinic for the mother. And so the mother left without her children. She was taken. Only the sister and her went to the hospital, to this clinic. And then that was on Monday. And then on Wednesday, it's on Tuesday, the son called me and was like, hey, I haven't seen my mother yet. I want to be able to see her, everything else. And so I did. I brought him. We were able to find his mother, locate the mother, because we couldn't figure out what clinic it was. Trying to figure out the timeline. So no, this was Wednesday. Because Monday is when I dropped her to the hospital. Tuesday, we had no idea what hospital, clinic she had been taken to. And Wednesday is when we finally found her and went to go see her. And so by Thursday, I was getting the phone call that the children had been taken away from immigration because immigration was doing a strong pickup of anyone who was undocumented here on the island. And so they needed to just, they went into the house and the children were alone. And so they took them. They just took them. The oldest one, which is 15, called to let me know what was going on. And this is when YahNé and I drove down to try to find the immigration truck, which at the time, by the time we were able to reach to them, they were already in the military station in Puerto Plata.
And you had your friend.
Yes, so I have a friend who was able to help out a little bit because she had, or at least try to help out a little bit. She had family in like the military, but there was really nothing that anyone can do about it. So it was like just a lot of effort being put into the situation, which not with not much of a solution at the end, which was really draining.
It was
really,
and also I think really defeating as well. I know, like, I mean, Indiana was crying so much because she had spent time with this family, had You know, there's like this buildup of hope, like this world is being really fucked up right now. And so then there's like something happening that's bad, but then maybe you can help. And it becomes so important to be able to make that difference all the way, to be able to actually like succeed in helping with something that's so important. And then when something like this happens, and it's really it was really intense because these are children that are being taken without the knowledge of their mother, who is at that time unconscious, and them and the other woman who was with them, her sister or her friend who was with her in the hospital, her children are also taken, and they didn't take them because they weren't with their mother. They took them in spite of the fact that they weren't with their mother, and take them and deport them, these children who are actually born here, who had their birth certificate that says they're born here, and put them in a country they don't know. Do they speak Creole?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. Put them in a country they don't know, where they don't know people and they don't have any resources, and just leave them there. And they were doing that with so many children, and there were all these families. And when we drove by there, they could see our concern, and they literally did things to mock us and to mock our concern. And then actually came to threaten me. You know, they came to pursue me because they thought I might be Haitian. Um, and, you know, we put forth all of this effort hoping to make a difference, and then we just have to leave. We just have to leave them on these buses that have cage doors on the back, and you can see all the families, you know, forced in there. And that was hard. It was really defeating. It was really debilitating, to go through that and to experience that. Um, and as Indiana said, also draining. And, you know, and it raised some questions around how you find balance, which is one of the things that we wanted to really talk about when it comes to like, how do you find balance in the giving that you do, and what it is that you are like on the path for already. So like you have something you're supposed to be doing right now, and then something else comes up that is really important and that really draws on you. And where do you draw the line? How far do you go away from what it is that you are set out, the path that you're set out to do, in order to help with this other thing? Where's that line?
Right, right. Yeah, because I mean, even just speaking about the situation right now, I'm feeling even more drained. It's one of those things where what this situation taught me and has brought to my attention is that when you're working on something in your life, right, that is more that is in that alignment space with what it is you're aiming to reach, your goals, your purpose, your destiny, there's going to come up a lot of distractions. And in my particular case, this was one of those distractions, right? And when you're focused on one thing, and this is the thing that's the priority, it is the importance, all of your energy is going into that. Your focus, your attention, your vision, your motives, the momentum of every minute that is passing by and planning. And then these distractions suddenly come about that may have a pull to your heart because it's related to humanity, right? As in my case, this was a case where it involved the life of others. It involved the what if that was me? How would I want to be treated, or how would what kind of support would I like to receive, or what would be useful to receive during such moment? And here you are now extending your attention in an opposite direction of what your goals are, of what it is your purpose is, of what it is you're working on. And this becomes such a huge priority that it's almost like everything else in your world is non-existence anymore. It's almost like everything else in your world no longer is relevant other than this one distraction that came about, right? And what this has taught to me is that, right now we're in a space where, as the collective consciousness, we all understand that 2025 really came in to push forth that that new world, new earth energetic model that's happening right now, right? And for as much as there are certain things that are draining us as a humankind, and just as a collective consciousness, like the war happening right now between Iran and Israel, like all of the families in the United States, whether they are Dominican, Haitian, Mexican, Guatemalan, Ecuadorian, Peruvian, Venezuelan, Jamaican, it doesn't matter. But the point is that there's a lot of different division going on right now, and a lot of violence being put forth into humanity. And there's really not much that can happen right now because of the simple fact that this is not a time to be taking action in the physical. This is a time to be taking action energetically. This is a time to be in prayer. This is a time to be in visualization of the outcome that we desire for the world to step into. This is a time to really step into a space of recognizing what is happening, and instead of allowing it to overwhelm and drain you energetically, use your energy to really bring forth the vision of what it is that you desire, while the physical action maintaining that connection to your purpose, to what it is that you're working on. Because if not, you would be distracted in a sense where you're not going to get your goals done, your purpose done, and then there's nothing you can do on the distraction end, because it's really not for you to be working on. It is not really your responsibility. And when you take it upon for it to become your responsibility, you're doing a disservice to those that are going through what they're going through, because it's taking away their power to stand up for themselves, to figure out their own resource, to recognize their own power and how they can become dependent for themselves in what it is that they need to go through. Because sometimes people have to go through a journey in order to develop the strength that they need, in order to develop the courage, in order to develop the wisdom. But if you are there to hold their hand the whole process through, you're just doing a disservice to them, because you're not allowing them to go through what they need to go through to capture the essence of their own power, of their own strength and courage. Meanwhile, you're disempowering yourself by not staying true to what it is you were supposed to be working on to begin
to
with.
create the transformation. And
Right.
the thing is, like, this is not to say that we're not supposed to help each other, right? That's not the point. This is not to say that we're not supposed to go out on the streets, for instance, and stand up against, fascism and imperialism and its many faces that it's showing up with in this quintuple, octuple faced monster that it is, showing up to be right now. It's not to say that, but it is to say that we have to be more measured and less emotional in how we react to the things that happen. I was exhausted when I got here to Dominican Republic, because y'all may know I was in Thailand. um, so I spent 4 months here in Dominican Republic, flew from here to Thailand, was a month in Thailand, and then got to the States. And from the time I hit the States, it was run, run, run from land in New York, run straight to Philadelphia, days in Philadelphia. Then I'm back in New York. Then I'm in Rhode Island. Then I'm in Vermont. Then I'm in Massachusetts. Then I'm back in Vermont. Then I'm back in and then New York again, then Philadelphia again, and then I fly out. And I'm also in comrade who's and in the same kind of situation where we got so close, and I thought that I was going to be able to help her accomplish something really important in that situation. And we had the authorities came in and took somebody, and I once again felt so defeated. And that was after all of that running. And I just barely got here. And what I needed was to rest. And I said to myself, because I could feel that, like, I need to rest. But then I had to say to myself, like, who am I if I don't go and try to help, right? Because everything about this situation speaks to both of us. And our hearts and who we are and the kind of world that we want. And so who are we if we don't go try to help? And at the same time, like, I therefore ignored what my body needed, ignored like the need for the rejuvenation that this time here is supposed to create for me, which is important as it relates to my ability to sustain the long fight and to do the work that I'm doing in order to transform the reality so that nobody is going through what any of these families went through that we tried to. And we wanted to help this family. And then I'm also the whole time thinking, like, what are we going to just take this one group off and then just leave all the other people behind and let them, and they're just still going to all be deported? And what will we have really done? And and I don't think that this would have registered as well, obviously, if we had been able to succeed in at least helping this family. But we weren't. The only thing we succeeded in doing was distracting ourselves from what we were on the path for at that particular moment. And so, I'm not to say that I think what we did was wrong, right? That's not even really the point. And for me anyway, the point is more that we have to be having this level of thoughtfulness about those
Absolutely.
decisions.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the things that I've been truly diving deeper into is those, just finding out, why are you even doing what you're doing? Why are you doing, like, what, when I sit back and I reflect, and I've meditated on this quite a few times, because it's important to understand that everything in our life is always going to be a mirror of us. Everything that presents himself, it's literally here to teach us something about ourselves, right? And when I sit there and I think about the whole scenario, the mother having a stroke. My mother just had a stroke a year ago, and she did transition from that stroke. The possibility that their mother was going to transition from that stroke, you know, this overextending myself with relation to the mother wound that I had been working on for the past couple of years, of accepting myself because mother never accepted, right? And like that, overextending myself because of the not wanting to be rejected or pushed away, right? And like all of these things came up with this family, this Haitian family, that I just felt so pulled to go and help these complete strangers that within days became like my biggest priority, became like my biggest um, care about anything, you know. And I think of how I neglected myself to allow myself to rest, how I rejected myself from being in a space of prioritizing what was really needed and important for my body. And then it just brought me to think, like, how many times do we allow situations, like I mentioned before, that are really and truly like a distraction, while being a distraction also being a mirror to ourselves, of how many times do you overextend yourself to others because of something that you have going on subconsciously that you're not even aware of?
Right, because what were we going to, so you taking them to the hospital, right? That makes sense, right?
Right.
There's, you're right there, and it's something that you tangibly you can do. And almost everything that took place after that were things that really were out of your hands.
It
There
really
weren't
was.
things that, there was not really anything that you could do but be distracted from what it is that you needed to be doing at that time, and to use the conversation about your own compassion, which is a true compassion, as a like almost like a shield, as a um, as a I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. It's just like an excuse that you almost can make up in order to allow yourself to go and do something that you really don't have business
It's out of your
doing,
control.
that you don't have ability to control, and then you're actually not doing the thing that is really to touch the thing that you're caring about. because everything that we're doing is in order to bring about this transformation that will prevent these things from happening. And if we, it's like I have in my mind an image of a bunch of people and they're moving and everybody has their roles, but then somebody sees somebody over here. So instead of going up to do this, you're running over here doing this. And then this person is running over here doing this. And now this person who's supposed to come up here is now coming here to take care of the thing that you didn't take care of because you ran over here. So you're running up here doing this. And the thing doesn't get built. But the thing that needs to get built is the thing that's going to transform all of the things that created the distractions in the first place.
Right.
So you have to stay in your lane around what it is that you're supposed to do and trust what you're doing if what you're doing is for the collective already, right? It's not like you're taking away from some selfish shit that you're doing that's really just about your own personal gain, your own individual gain, and then you aren't considering and being caring about others. Everything we're doing is about the transformation for the collective, and if we want that transformation, we have to stay the path to get it done. So that's, I think, really where, and then to your point, what is it that really is driving you to do this other thing? Is it really about this help that you can give to the other person? Or, like you said, is it about some insecurity within yourself, some sense of inadequacy within yourself, some sense of, like undervaluing of yourself that is actually showing up, that's actually causing you to seek to earn the right even to be a part of the transformation,
Right.
that you are working so hard, you, we, me, us are working so hard to be a part of. And like, we're going to keep this short in the same vein of what we were talking about, because Indiana is tired. And so even this live is a little bit of that on some level, right? Because we talked about doing this, and Indiana came here because she was like committed to doing what she said she was going to do, and I'm like kept pushing to make this happen because India came here, and I don't want her to come here and waste her time, right? And and all of these other things. Well, maybe what we should have been doing right now was rest, right? So we definitely not going to be doing this all night, but I did want to, since we are here, bring up that other conversation that we were having that's so connected to this, with the overing that we're overdoing. Like, we're going to now hold each other accountable,
Absolutely.
right? To not overgiving, overperforming, overdoing, and instead to identifying whatever it is that overing is seeking to fill, whatever gap or hole or that is seeking to fill, whatever wound it is seeking to heal, right? And helping us to identify and work through that, help each of us helping and supporting each other as we each ourselves work through those things. And so this came up. I think that conversation was happening before even we went after, right?
Yeah.
So we have a retreat coming up. And, it's a retreat. Here's the context. It's like Lagoons for Freedom is my project that I have been really blessed with some amazing, amazing people, Indiana being one of them, who is supporting the growth development of the different initiatives that are part of this larger project. And we are having a retreat. And so I are flying those who need to be flown, which include Indiana, to be able to come together so that we can have this retreat that we might, be wanting to happen at this retreat. So Indiana started offering, oh, I can help with the food and helping cooking food, and I can do massages because Indiana's an amazing masseuse as well, and also was helping with the development of the retreat, and so already is participating in that. And then the retreat is starting. The first day of the retreat is a new moon, so putting together a new moon ceremony with some members of the retreat. And I had to say, like, when are you going to chill? Like, when are you going to sit down? Like, when are you going to rest? Like, and I don't know, do you want to talk about what you was coming up for, like what you were saying?
I mean, it's like what I was saying earlier is like, understanding what is the motive behind what it is that you're doing. Because when we are able, and this is why I say it's so important to where you are aware of all of the subconscious triggers that are there for you. Because when you're in the realms of, again, that journey of being accepted, of not looking for validation from anyone, from not worrying whether you're going to be rejected or not, anytime that something is put on the table that's needed, you're going to right away jump in and want to take on the role of everything. Meanwhile, you don't receive. And when you are receiving, then you find these guilts and these reasons around why you shouldn't be receiving. And if you are going to accept that receiving, what do you need to do in return? And so, like you just mentioned, it's like you're flying out with the grant money that came in. You're going to be purchasing my flight to be there. And so automatically in my mind, it's like, well, they're paying for your ticket, so you have to do so much to pay back that ticket. You have to do so much to compensate for that ticket that's being purchased. And again, that goes that lack of worthiness and not receiving and overextending because of what is coming with going to the retreat.
And the crazy thing about it, the crazy thing is how much of a gift her coming, for me, from my side of the perspective, so first of all, again, the grant money is our grant money, right? So it's not like I'm buying her ticket and taking her to a concert, right? Or something, right? I'm doing the act of the purchasing with money that is ours in order for us to come together so that she can contribute her gifts and her brilliance and her insights to this project that has been that I have been given, that I have been tasked with, that I can't do by myself. So her receptiveness to the project, her desire to be involved in the project and contribute to the project is the gift. And all of who she is why I want to receive that gift from her, why Spirit brought us together in order to accomplish this together. And so there's already just by showing up, just by all of the work that she did before I met her to become the person that she is, that I'm so excited to have formed a sisterhood with. That is the gift. And all I have to do is the work of spending our money to buy this ticket to bring her. And then you want to give extra? That's and yes, we're all going to be doing things, but when you start going and doing extra, extra, extra like that, then yes, you're undervaluing yourself for yourself, but you can also be communicating to somebody who is exploitative, someone who's extractive, that you don't have value or that you don't know your value, and then they can take advantage of that and manipulate so much more out of you as a result of that. And the reason that I'm able to recognize what was happening and was able to be like, whoa, player, whoa, is because of my own behavior in that. Anybody who knows me know I'll be overdoing it all day long. And and so I recognize that effort to do too much and to give in order to have enough value. And I see too much value to let you do that same thing. So we had to stop that overing. And we had to say, yeah, we got to really stop that shit. We got to really be more conscientious about that. So this is just a call to you also to both check yourself, both in if you're overdoing, overperforming, overgiving, and if to also check yourself and make sure that you're not taking advantage of overgivers. Are you on that side of things? And it's also a call to be conscientious when you are around people who are doing that, to take a moment and hold them and reflect back again to them that the value that they know, because I know you know your value, right?
Absolutely.
So the value that they know they have, that they don't have to prove to you that it's there, that you also see it and that you value it as well. And so that because we have these old habits, so even when we get past some of those thoughts, then we still have these old habits that we still fall back into, and we can help each other to break those habits and to really stand in balance, because that's the other thing, and that's actually
Yeah, I mean, it's really wild too, because it's like when you're in this space of being a people pleaser, right? It's like you become a people pleaser, and you're always giving, giving, giving,
on
giving,
a
giving,
farm.
and then what ends up happening is that then resentment starts to build up, because now you start feeling like you were taken advantage of, when in reality you're the one that really extended yourself, because you never saw your value.
Right.
You extended yourself thinking, well, if I do more, they're gonna like me more, or they're gonna accept me
I'm going to
more,
earn
or I'm gonna
some
earn
kind of
some kind of
care, value,
credibility from the people,
that's
right?
English.
And so yeah, I think it's really important to really understand the balance between being there for yourself and being there for others. It's okay to be there for others. I mean, it's okay to be kind and show up and show compassion. But when your kindness and your compassion and your givingness and your willingness to show up is now draining your energy, then it defeats the purpose of you even showing up, because now your energy is so drained you can't even show up for anything else. And I'm beyond grateful for the sisterhood that we have built, that we're able to just speak truth to each other and give it to ourselves raw.
Yeah.
And YahNé said to me, like, wait a minute, I get it, like you said you were already gonna be a support with setting up the portal, and you offered for the full moon meditation, and you offered for this and that, but now you're also talking about massages and the kitchen. We have a chef. You're sure you want to do the massages? That's a lot. Like, you're already showing up, and your presence just being there on its own, it's enough, so everything else is like even extra. And so it was like that change in perspective where you came in, that I was just like, she's right.
Right.
Why am I wanting to give so much and
like
overdoing
that.
it?
Yeah.
And it comes right back to that again, that subconscious stuff that's going on. And if you don't have someone to put you on check, yes, the patterns do keep coming back up. And sometimes you're not going to have somebody to bring up those patterns and put you on check, because like you said, they're the ones that
They want it.
they want that, they need that. They're not conscious. So even more so, with more importance, why it's so important to really connect with yourself, understand yourself, and have yourself on check. Do a daily reflection, like, what areas in my life did I overextend my service today? What areas in my life did I overextend my energy? What areas in my life did I not accomplish what my goals were, because I was using my time and my energy in another area that had nothing to do with my goals?
Right.
Yeah.
And so sometimes one thing that happened not that long ago, and so Soma played that role for me. Soma is another one of our sisters. She'll be at the retreat too, and she checked me in a similar way. And I just thought about it when I was thinking about the balance and really how important it was. So I had a whole situation, and you remember I was telling you about that situation where I was like, when we were going to Thailand, and it's a whole complicated thing. So I'm not going to get into all of the logistics of it, but I really had made a misstep. And when I really had to sit and think about the reason for that misstep, I had to think like so in a way that really was just like saw my best self, and it was like, this falls out of alignment with that. So what's going on, right? And so, she was like, why didn't you say you needed some help? Right? Because it was like I was really overdoing, right? The whole thing was me trying to do too much, take care of too many people. I didn't even know none of these people. Only person I knew was Soma and Yosha, her daughter, who was involved in this. But I didn't know any of these people. I'm trying to do so much for them and doing so much for multiple other people all at the same time.
Plus your own personal life.
Right, plus my life, right? And so I ended up like not communicating well around something creative, and then feeling compelled to like to communicate after the fact, like, hey, I didn't say these things. And then it was like, now I'm with all these strangers who are like, why are you doing this shifty shit? And she's like, what the fuck is going on, basically? And then when I talked about, just like when I thought and reflected about everything that I had been managing and everything I was trying to do that day and all of the sleep I hadn't got the days before that because I was supporting people. And she's like, why did you think you had to do all of that? And I had to think about that too. And one of the things that really clicked for me was that my effort to take care of everyone but forgetting myself actually creates an imbalance. And that imbalance is going to balance itself at the expense of the people who I'm thinking I'm looking out for.
Yeah.
So by actually taking myself out of the equation of care, I'm actually creating harm all the way around. The harm I balance itself into the people who I'm over caring for, because that's how the universe works. So actually, even my desire to be caring and taking care of other people requires that I take care of myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In the end, I mean, there's nothing you can really give someone else that you're not giving yourself. So no matter how much you think you're being a support to someone else's journey, if you're not being supportive to yourself, the support's not going to be a balanced given support. So, yeah.
So we learning, we growing. You know, I was saying to Soma, I think in that conversation or around that time, I was like, yo, like, so the adults, the generation before me, they kind of give you the impression that they got that shit all together, right? That they grew up, and that growing up finishes like some of this stuff, right? You get finished, and maybe they just wasn't worried about all of the things we worried about. Like there's trajectories of things that we're learning, but they made it like I had the expectation that this was going to have I was going to reach the level and then be done and just enjoy old age. And now I'm like realizing like this is ongoing, everlasting. I'm going to be growing all the way until I'm dirt. Until I become food, you know? And that's just like, that was a thing actually to have to confront, that this journey is like there
Until Earth doesn't end anyways.
right. So
it's forever evolving, it's forever changing, it's forever going through different seasons. And even with those seasons, every year we have the same seasons, but not every year each season is the same. We have winters that are colder than others. We have springs where the flowers are blooming way before its time. Meanwhile, another spring, it's like, hey, it's almost summer. Where are the flowers at? You know, are we going to get any mangoes this season?
yeah.
So it's a forever journey. It is a forever journey. And what's beautiful about the forever journey is that when you can really look at it from that perspective, then you can start looking at like, ooh, look, we just learned this. Like, we cannot be overextending ourselves. And if we are overextending ourselves, where is it coming from so that we can work on that? We just figured it out. Here's the piece of the puzzle. Yay! Now let's keep finding pieces to other parts of the puzzle versus looking at it like, I'm just healing and I'm drained. And I'm like, it's like healing and like, when is it going to end? Then life becomes like the suffering thing.
Yeah.
But when you get excited about these new lessons and these new discoveries, it's like you're just so excited about the next one coming.
And to be able to like share it in community. That's one of the reasons why community is so important. And come here, Vision. And to be able to share it in community, and to be able to come here, and to be able to Indiana wanted to say hey to you. To be able to grow together, learn together, to be able to watch each other's growth and learning. That's something else that I really appreciate about my friendship with my friend Felicia. They are really invested in, and they have paid close attention to who I am and my areas that I've been growing in, and being able to reflect to me in a similar way to the way Soma reflected to me, with love that is in recognition of the person who I've shown them that I am, and then seeing when I fall out in relation to that, and not like defining me by this thing, but still holding me by the I'm an amazing, awesome, wonderful, brilliant, creative, caring person. And they see that person, and if something happens, they're like, hey, what's going on, from a place of love and care that has caused this misalignment. Or they may reflect something to me, and there's like this not lack of judgment. And I really appreciate having a circle of people around me who are able to do that and able to hold me in a place that's of love and caring, that enables me to be vulnerable when I'm with them, to feel safe in that vulnerability, and to be able to grow, and then to be able to celebrate, and for us to be like, hey, I remember when you were like doing this, and look at how you're not doing that anymore. You've grown. I see your growth. And and just to be able to hold that circle, of love around me. So yeah, to do it, to celebrate it, and to celebrate it with others who will celebrate you with, as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think to like sum it up, because I am really tired.
Yeah.
Y'all know how I am about being natural and all of that, but yesterday the allergies was so over, so over, above beyond what I can handle, and I ended up taking some allergy medication that really just knocked me out, and I'm still feeling it in my body today, so I feel really, really drained. So thank y'all for, just sustaining this level of energy when normally I'm all the way high up here, vibrant, right?
We supposed to be dancing, all of that. We're not going to do that this time. We're not doing that this time, but we're going to dance. The dancing is coming back, but this time we are honoring what we talking about. We are honoring ourselves and our bodies and our needs. We needed to have a little conversation with y'all. We did it. And we're going to say peace. We're going to put a little exit music on. We're going to hug each other. We're going to drink a little wine. I got a little wine. Maybe we'll drink a little wine. Okay.
Some water.
Maybe some wine and some water. And, and call it a night. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna put on a little song. And then, we can roll out if I can figure out how to do this. I don't know. I'm gonna assume it's happening. I'm gonna let it go for just a few seconds, and then I'm gonna turn it off. Look at that, the cutest, little, sweetest, best little doggy in the world. Say hey,
I saw it flying too, a little bug.